Hello, everybody. It's Tim here again for another video, this time for a new DCEU film ranking. Now, I've ranked the DCEU franchise films multiple times. I think even in my last ranking, I said that was going to be like my definitive ranking until a new movie came out. Um, but I decided what the hell, I pretty much went back on that now. I decided what the hell, why not do another ranking? And also because Black Adam comes out this year, and I do plan on seeing Black Adam at some point. But I figured why not do a new ranking before Black Adam comes out, then to see how it falls into the list of the other ones. Now, in terms of my ranking, I wrote this down so I would not forget this list. In terms of my ranking, Snyder Cut, number one. Easily number one for me is the Snyder Cut. I'm not counting the theatrical cut of BVS or the theatrical cut of Justice League, which is just mediocre. The Snyder Cut, which is really a director's cut, a director's extended cut of Justice League, really. Because even if Zack Snyder had got to release his film in theaters, it still wouldn't have really been this cut. It would have been something somewhat altered. But in terms of what this is, I really enjoyed it. To me, it's just as good as Infinity War. Maybe Infinity War slightly better, only because of the fact that it had all those movies worth of build-up, and these characters didn't really get solo movies. But either way, this is a masterpiece. I think it's one of the best comic book films ever made. The only problem with it is, yes, it may be slightly overlong, but overall, you're having so much fun with it if you're a DC fan that you just go with it, really. Second up, before I forget, yeah, 4 out of 4 for Snyder Cut. Second up would be James Gunn's Suicide Squad, or just Suicide Squad 2, or The Suicide Squad, which is kind of a ridiculous title. They should have called it The Suicide Squad, subtitle something or other. Or just Suicide Squad, subtitle whatever. But anyway, this movie's pretty much, it is a sequel, but at the same time, it is almost like a reboot because it lets James Gunn do whatever he wants with the property. And in terms of Suicide Squad, you really can do whatever you want depending on who you are as a director, because all it is it's the group of anti-heroes or villains, whatever, B-listers and C-listers who get sent on missions by the government, by Amanda Waller, to go do shit for the government. That's pretty much it. Really, you could do whatever you want with that. This movie, I will say, is slightly overlong, and it is slightly kind of bogged down by some plot points that didn't really need to be there. Like there's the Starro character, who's the villain, which is actually a Justice League villain, I believe, in the comics, who you get the idea that kind of just wants to go back to space or whatever, but that's kind of flawed because the creature starts like killing everybody at the end. If it really wanted to go to out, which you get the idea that maybe that's for revenge or whatever, for them holding it hostage and all that, but at the same time, if it really wanted to just go back into outer space, why didn't it do that when the people picked it up in the spaceship or whatever, um, or rocket or whatever, when they were in space with it? Why didn't it just, after it took over the minds of the people running the space shuttle, why didn't it just have them send it back out in outer space? So yeah, there's a plot hole there. The other thing is Harley Quinn's character is good here, but she's not great here. But she is good here, and she has really good moments. But she's much more in the background here. Like James Gunn really put her character in the background so he can give the rest of the team some time to shine. And the way I get it, he doesn't want Harley Quinn to overtake the movie because of her larger than life personality. I get it, but at the same time, though, she's almost like a non-entity for over half this flick, because she's off on like this little side quest where she's being tortured, and she like ends up having sex with this prince dude or ruler or whatever of this foreign country and all that, and it just kind of goes nowhere. And you get a cool escape scene with her though, where it shows things from her mind's point of view, where she's seeing like Tweety birds and all that. Pretty entertaining. Yeah, this is a 4 out of 4 movie, by the way. But yeah, Ratcatcher 2, the chick who plays her, is really cute, and she does a great job here. Idris Elba is a better actor than Will Smith from the first one who played Deadshot, but at the same time, though, his character is almost the exact same thing. He's pretty much just a better acted version of Deadshot, or alternate version. Yeah, overall, though, 4 out of 4. Really enjoyable movie, very funny. It is a James Gunn movie. This is James Gunn's version of the Suicide Squad. It's more true to the comics than the first one, but at the same time, this is a straight up James Gunn movie with his sense of humor. And if you're not really into his kind of darker, more silly, zany sense of humor, then you may not dig this one. But for what it is, as a James Gunn fan, I love this one. It's very enjoyable. Second only to the Snyder Cut. Number 3. Number 3 for me, I would have to say BVS Ultimate Edition. The Ultimate Edition of BVS, I really enjoy. I think it's a masterpiece. The Ultimate Edition is. Zack Snyder, his versions of these characters and stuff, and just him alone, like his films just seem to divide audiences, which is fine. You don't have to please everybody. But in terms of what this movie is, I think it's a masterpiece. It is maybe a little bogged down by trying to do too much with having the being like a Dawn of Justice movie, the creation of the Justice League, also plus doing the Batman versus Superman part. But overall, though, I really enjoyed it as a whole. 4 out of 4 for the Ultimate Cut. Number, what am I on? 3? No, 4. Number 4 would be, where do I got it? Wonder Woman. Another 4 out of 4. Wonder Woman, I think, is a awesome, an awesome flick. I think Wonder Woman is an awesome flick. One thing I will say though is people really love this one, and or at least critics do. Personally, I'm not the biggest Wonder Woman fan. I think Gal Gadot does a good to great job as the character. She's never been a great actor, but she works in this role for what she's supposed to be. Um, and overall, though, it is kind of just a typical origin superhero movie. It's a fish out of water comedy, and Gal Gadot kind of works as Wonder Woman in that way because she's out into the off of her Amazon island out to the regular world. So she's it's like a fish out of water comedy, kind of similar to what they did in Thor with Thor. Chris Pine does a great job. It's the love interest. Yeah, this is a 4 out of 4 movie. Awesome, fun movie. It probably is a masterpiece worthy movie. But at the same time, though, I'm not the biggest Wonder Woman fan. So, but putting all those biases aside, for what it is, I think it is an awesome flick. Next up after Wonder Woman would be, let's see. Would be Shazam. Shazam, I thought was awesome. Shazam was a really fun movie. It is a family movie. It's much more of a. This is another 4 out of 4 for me. A lot of these DCEU films I do enjoy. I'll just say that I am a DC fan. But yeah, Shazam is a 4 out of 4 for me. I really enjoy this film. I think it's a very fun movie. It is maybe a bit too long, and maybe the villain isn't great, but he's good. Mark Strong is the villain. He's got like these demon sins in his head or whatever that's in this magic eye he puts in his head that gives him powers to battle Shazam. Zachary Levi, I think's the actor's name, plays Shazam. He does a great job here. He's very enjoyable. Overall, though, 4 out of 4. Definitely a family movie, though, and if you're not into that kind of thing, you may not enjoy this one. I can let that go. Really, you don't really need like a dark, serious Shazam movie, in my opinion. After Shazam, I would say. I would say Suicide Squad, the first one. Now, this is going to be a controversial one, but we're not all going to have the same list because this movie is very divisive. People either really enjoy this first Suicide Squad movie or they really hate it. Critics hated it. Audiences were kind of divided on it. Like the teenage audiences and young adults really seemed to enjoy it, but hardcore comic fans didn't really seem to be that into it. I will say this: the movie should have been rated R. And some of these other movies I have listed after this one are better written films and technically better movies than this one. But overall, in terms of the pure fun, I had fun with this one. The script is messy. The whole like take over the world thing by Enchantress and all that is kind of weak. Enchantress, though, I used to not really like this villain, but she's from the comics, and for what she is in the comics compared to playing her in live action, I think the actress Cara Delevingne, I believe, actually watching it now, I think the actress does a good fine job for the character she has to play, which is a villain from the comics. Um, Overall, I had great fun with this movie. It is not perfect. They need to be a little more Joker in it. I do like Jared Leto's Joker. I like the Joker in this movie. The only Joker I really don't like is the Cesar Romero one because the Adam West show, despite the fact that it's camp and despite the fact that the comics at the time were more silly, they did take themselves seriously. The Adam West show is almost like more of a parody of Batman, though. It takes the silly aspects of the comics, but it winks at them and wants you to know that, yeah, this is goofy, we know it, so laugh at it. But that's not really how the comics were even back in the 60s. They still took themselves seriously. But yeah, overall, though, Cesar Romero, although I think he does a good job for what he is, to me, that's not really the Joker. I mean, you can see his mustache and the makeup and all that. It's pure camp. If you like that, it's because you just like the joke of it, which I can judge it fairly for what it is. I do like Adam West Batman for what it is, but to me, that's not really Batman. But yeah, in terms of Suicide Squad, though, Part 1. I enjoy Jared Leto's Joker. He's a little bit underused, but overall, though, watching it now, if you actually would have had a lot more of him in here, which I know they do in the air cut, which I do hope to see one day, but if you would have really have had a lot more of him in here, he would have kind of took over the movie, to be honest. He would have just consumed the whole movie, the Joker would have, because that's what happens when you use the Joker. That's just the way it is, because the character is just so larger than life. That's just what happens. Overall, though, it should have been rated R. I really enjoy Will Smith here. He's fun. The story is messy. It is not the best written film at all in terms of this theatrical cut, which I know is completely changed from the air cut, but all I can judge is this theatrical cut because that's all it's out. But yeah, But it is fun. It is fun. When the team is together, I am having fun with Will Smith. I'm a Will Smith fan. I have fun when he is on screen. I have fun with Jared Leto's Joker. Him and Harley in their relationship here is actually much more loving than it is in the comics. Like Joker, you get the sense is still an asshole. At the same time, this Joker actually loves Harley Quinn, whereas compared to the comics, he doesn't give a shit about Harley Quinn. That used to bother me, the fact that he kind of does love Harley Quinn in this version, but as I've gotten older and since the movie's been out, I've just kind of adapted to it. It doesn't really bother me anymore. So yeah, overall, 4 out of 4 for Suicide Squad. A messy movie, but enjoyable. I like it. It's fun. After that, I would say Man of Steel. Man of Steel is a better movie than Suicide Squad, but it's not as fun. It's a much more serious movie. And I'll say this: I'm a much bigger Batman fan than I am a Superman fan. So having characters like Joker and Harley Quinn and Deadshot, who are all like Batman characters in the Suicide Squad, made that movie more fun for me. Man of Steel, though, I think is still a 4 out of 4 great enjoyable Superman movie. It's still got great action. I do think that the final of the action goes on a little bit too long with the fight between Superman and Zod. But overall, though, it's entertaining. It was a great, like, more Nolan-esque take on Superman to try to be realistic and ground him. It was enjoyable for what it is. After that, let's see. Sorry about that little cut right there, but yeah, next up would be Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey is a 3 out of 4 for me. I really enjoy Birds of Prey. I like it. It's fun, but it's not really a Birds of Prey movie. It's a Harley Quinn movie. How you feel about this film would depend on what you're wanting from this flick, I guess, or what you're a fan of. If you come to this looking for the Birds of Prey, it's not very good. They're really in the background of this, but Margot Robbie does a great job as Harley Quinn in this once again, and the whole film's centered on her, so it makes sense that she would. It's a good, fun movie. It isn't perfect. It's not really like the comics. Some of the characters aren't. Like Black Mask is pretty much like an Elton John parody here, but it works for what Ewan McGregor's going for. But at the same time, does not feel like Black Mask from the comics. But he is really fun. Um, that doesn't really bother me though, because Black Mask was always like a B-lister, so that doesn't really bother me that they changed him up. Any other things? The Joker should have been in this film. We got the whole Harley Quinn relationship with the Joker kind of glossed into the first film, the first Suicide Squad movie, kind of a little bit glossed over somewhat because that wasn't really the focus of that movie, at least at the theatrical cut. But they needed to build that up more in another movie before they jumped to the breakup in this film. They should have had the Joker in this film, even if it was just a cameo, just to show the breakup, because that would have made sense. Jared Leto needed to be in this film as the Joker. It really hurts the film that we don't see their breakup because we never really got to see the pure like toxic side of the relationship. We should have seen that in some kind of cameo. Overall, though, this is a 3 out of 4. It is a good time for what it is. Yeah, I enjoy Birds of Prey. 3 out of 4. Good movie, good time. Nothing amazing, but good fun. Aquaman is actually a better written film than this, but or it's actually I would say a more overall more of a solid film than this. But this film is slightly more fun than Aquaman, so that puts it before Aquaman for me. I'd say Aquaman. Aquaman, give a 3 out of 4. I think I used to like this movie more than I do now. It's still a good movie. I think this is a good adventure movie. It does have some tonal problems. It takes itself very seriously for such a silly character as Aquaman, which Aquaman has always had some inherent cheese to it, no matter how seriously you take it. It is still pretty, silly of a concept, to be honest. I think the acting in it is good. I think Amber Heard is fine and solid as Mira, the character, even though some of her lines are cheeseball. And Amber Heard's not a great actor at all. But her performance here is fine. Jason Momoa's Aquaman is great. Just overall, a fun, good superhero origin movie, pretty much. Action flick, yeah. Reminds me a lot of Thor, but the characters are kind of similar in terms of their comics and brother problems. But yeah, 3 out of 4, good, fun, solid superhero flick. Last place would be Wonder Woman 1984. Now, in my old review I did for this movie, I actually gave it a 2.5 out of 4. I thought it was all right, slightly below average, kind of mediocre. Watching it now, I'd give this a 1 out of 4. This flick sucked. Yeah, Wonder Woman 84. This sucked. I watched this movie again. This movie is boring as hell. It technically is better written than Suicide Squad Part 1 with Will Smith, but it's not as fun. I can deal with for me personally, I can deal with a weak script if you entertain me as a viewer. If you give me a good time, whether the script is messy or not, I will reward your movie with points because I'm having fun with you. This film is not fun. This film is boring. Pedro Pascal, who is a good actor, he's just kind of okay here. He goes really over the top at times with his character, who's like this just a corrupt businessman. And Cheetah's like Wonder Woman's main villain from the comics, but here she doesn't do hardly anything. Like she's played by Kristen Wiig, I believe, who does a good job actually acting wise, but she's almost a non-entity in this flick. She doesn't become Cheetah to like the climax in the movie. Gets her ass kicked in one fight, and that's the end of it. And Wonder Woman, they give Gal Gadot this stupid-looking bird suit. It just looks dumb. Yeah, overall, and this movie just feels way overlong because there's not a lot of action in it. It's just really boring. Gal Gadot has some more weak acting moments in this too because they try to let her do a little bit more emoting and a little bit more acting. It does come off weak. But overall, though, she's still good to great here. They bring Chris Pine back. It's nice to see him back, but you really don't need Steve Trevor in this movie. They did not need that. This whole Wishing Stone plot is extremely silly and cheesy. I do like the fact that they give like Pedro Pascal's character like a human element to where he actually does love his son. Like there's some humanness to him. I like that. Overall, though, this film is just boring. It's extremely bland. I think this is easily the weakest movie of the DCEU. It's just boring. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again with the next video.